Did you make it through all the 8 years of Full House without getting loaded, or did that start?
I did. No, I was still a kid.
Yeah.
And like, it really wasn't until high school, which is kind of when everybody starts, that's the time. 13, 14, 15, like, you start doing dumb shit because everyone's doing dumb shit at that age. But, I always say I would have had issues with addiction regardless of growing up on TV. I understand addiction in a very different way now, but I also, I was adopted at a very early age. My parents both had addiction issues, my biological parents. I was raised by two totally normal people, and that was what I found. I started partying in high school, and I was the one that it was like I started and I couldn't stop. And I went too far, and people were like, what is wrong with you? I was like...
I come from a long line. Like, on my mom's side of the family, every single person. Like, without exception.
Yeah. But on my biological side, it's, there was a lot of addiction. There was a lot of mental illness. But, actually finding out now as an adult, there was also a lot more success in some of my biological family than I knew about. But, it was... I definitely was born with, a predilection to that. And then at 13, 14, you start going like, who am I? Where am I from? Who are my people? Who I know these are my parents, but I'm not from them. So like, how do I connect with that? And when the only thing is like your parents were addicts and had issues and in and out of jail, and my dad was killed in a prison riot, like, when that's what suddenly you feel like, oh, is that all that I am? Is that who I am? And it took me a long time to get over that resentment and that hurt and that all of that really led to a lot of my issues.
How old were you when you found out you were adopted?
Well, how old were you when you were adopted?
I was officially 14 months old, but it was right around like my first birthday, a little bit before. So it was about a year.
Was there a period in between getting adopted and not being with your biological parents where you were like shuffling through the system?
I didn't get put in the system, thankfully, but my mom was in jail when I was born. I talk about.
You were born in jail?
I was born in jail.
Wow,
I was born
technically
at the USC County on the the inmate floor, but
13th floor.
Yep, 13th floor, and.
So there's like the CAC, and then there's the...
Right. Yeah. So, luckily my mom had, and my biological dad had friends and cousins and family who actually are related to my adopted dad. And that's how I became adopted by my parents, was he knew of me through his ex-wife's family and his kids from his first marriage, who were actually the ones that brought me home. And so I was staying with them, and my parents really wanted to have kids. My mom wasn't able to, and they knew that I needed a home. And so I was really fortunate in that I didn't wind up in the system because family and friends showed up for me and took me home.
Yeah.
But I was real close, and I always look at my life as this series of like incredibly fortunate events where I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and like my life took a really different journey,
I think that's a great perspective, because I can imagine some people being like, man, I fucking got screwed. I was born in jail, and then
well, and here's the thing is like I had to get through, and I talked a lot about that in my book Unsweetened, and I talk about it a lot because I think, for one thing, I know that growing up as an adoptee, I think there's less of a stigma now, but when I was young, my mom was always like, we don't want to talk about this, because they were afraid that all of that coming out about me, that somehow people would look at me different. And now I'm like, I don't give a shit how people look at me. Like, you know what I mean? I am who I am, and I've survived, I've had some obstacles thrown at me, but I've also had some really wonderful experiences. So that's life, right? Like, you sometimes start off in a shitty place and then it's not so bad.
It's called Steve-O's Hot Sauce for Your Butthole. And if you go on Amazon and type in Steve-O's Hot Sauce for Your Butthole, and order yourself a bottle. You'd be really helping me, because right now we're ranked number 30 on all of Amazon, and if you buy a bottle, we might go up the ladder, and that would mean a lot. So please get on Amazon and buy Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.